Hey there, micro folks. This is Mr. Hooker, and this is Externalities video number 2. Let's go. All right. So let's compare some environmental policies here. We've got environmental standards here on the left, emission taxes and tradable emission permits on the right. I've already kind of clicked through for it. So we got marginal benefit curves for both of them. Uh, Environmental standards forces both plants. If we had A firm and a B firm, and what we had was 600 um, pollution emissions. It forces both plants to cut emissions by half to get to 300, regardless of what their ability to cut was, right? So, as you can see, A has a much lower cost to cut than B does. Um, so that is the way that would go. They have they have a lower marginal benefit. Um, and so they can actually do that easier than B. So, but both of them have to cut it. And so it's going to cost B more, um, to cut that when you do it that way. So looking on the right, if we did emission taxes and tradable emission permits, and the tax or the permit price is 200, then A is gonna it has a lower marginal benefit and going to reduce emissions by 400 units. B, it's just harder for them to reduce their pollution. It's just more expensive, whatever. They are going to reduce by 200 to 400, and they will pay A for the remaining 100 permits or whatever that it's going to be. So like basically we'll be even to that, so they'll pay them for the thing, or they'll pay the government for the taxes. If we have to even out to 300, they'll pay A for their 100 permits. So it's a thing. So B has that higher marginal benefit, reduced emission by 200 units. So it's a whole it's a whole kind of thing. All right. Plant A uses newer technology. That marginal benefit curve lies below B's marginal benefit curve. Um, Environmental standard requires both plants to cut half. It's inefficient because it leaves the marginal benefit pollution higher for B than for A. An emission tax, as well as the permits, achieves the same quality of overall pollution efficiency. Um, so subsidies encourage polluters to switch from high polluting activities to low polluting activities. For example, the recent Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 gives a $7,500 tax credit for the purchase of an electric vehicle for qualifying buyers. It also, one of the things that, a lot of people may not have realized about that, but for Iowa, one of the things that helped in Iowa was it gave a big thing for wind energy, which a lot of Iowa farmers were putting those wind turbines in their farms, um, and it was giving credits for those. So moving toward alternate energy, the recent administration, as has become the like norm recently, for both parties, they basically backed off some of those things. It's just become a thing that like new administrations back off previous administrations' policies. So that just got backed off. Cap and trade. Since 94, the U.S. has had a sulfur dioxide cap and trade system. Acid rain's been reduced by 94% from 94 to 2022 pretty cheaply. So in 2005, the first cap and trade system for trading greenhouse gases called carbon trading was launched in the EU. So nearly 2 decades later, carbon trading has grown rapidly around the world. In 2021, approximately 850 billion in permits were traded globally. So the way this works is everybody that emits sulfur dioxide, let's do with the sulfur dioxide one, is thrown into a is thrown into a thing and basically a spreadsheet assigned a random number. Each random number is assigned a random number of permits. You get the permits. If you need that number of permits, great. If you need more permits, you need to go on the market and buy more permits. If you need less permits, then you can go on the market and sell the extra permits you have. That is just the way it is. You only have those permits for the year that you have. So if you don't need the permits for that year, you need to sell them. Somebody else is going to buy them, make some money. That's the way that is. So, yay. All right, economics of climate change is just the human-made change in Earth's climate from the accumulation of greenhouse gases caused by the use of fossil fuels. So these greenhouse gases are gases that trap heat in Earth's atmosphere. So um, let's look at what that looks like. If you look at it here, at first glance, Canada, the US, and Australia are the worst offenders, but it's actually more meaningful to compare emissions per $1 million of a country's GDP. Then the US, Canada, and Australia are green countries, but China, India, and Uzbekistan are not. Um, so here's the thing about that. You kind of have to understand it. I may have mentioned it in my um, GDP videos last semester. Um, like poor countries, like when you're looking at these GDP things, like poor countries are not going to care about environmental things. First thing you've got to do is be able to feed your people. If you can't feed your people, you do not care about anything else. And that's just the way it goes. So understand that these Uzbekistan, India, China, you got Uzbekistan doesn't have a lot of people. Understand. India and China have a lot of people and they sometimes have trouble feeding all of those people. So yeah, there's an issue, but yeah, that's going to be their thing. You need to feed your people first. And if you can't feed your people, you're not going to worry about that. Understand that the Western economies did not care about the environment either until the 1970s. That's really only about 50 years ago. I mean, like, they didn't start this until I was born. So we've come a long ways in a short period of time. So don't worry about it. I don't worry about it that much for them. Um, like, once they get their thing up, it'll be fine. They can come a long way pretty quickly. Um, so you can see that. Causes of climate change, fossil fuel is the big one. It's fuel derived from fossil sources such as coal and oil. Renewable energy sources that are inexhaustible, like fossil fuel sources which are exhaustible. Clean energy sources are energy sources that don't emit greenhouse gases. Renewable energy sources are also clean energy sources. World energy consumption remains overwhelmingly dependent upon fossil fuels. 21, they accounted for approximately 83.4% of total consumption. Renewable accounted for only 12.6, and nuclear energy accounted for approximately 4%. So after Long Island and Chernobyl and the one in Japan, people just do not trust nuclear power anymore. Although it is like one of the safer, it's not really, I guess, really not safe. It's, if it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. But it is one of the cleaner energies. Um, So, how do we address climate change? There's a lot of government subsidies to research and development. Since the 80s, the US government's provided billions of dollars in subsidies for R&D dedicated to lowering the cost of clean energy sources. We also have multilateral agreements, which set common objectives and allocate burden sharing across countries. 2015, 196 countries signed the Paris Agreement with a common goal of limiting the increase of the Earth's temperature to 2 degrees centigrade. We have been playing hokey pokey with the Paris Accords. We were in, then we were out, then we were in, and I think we're out now. So I don't know if it's our left foot or our right foot, but we've been in and out a good bit. Are the costs of addressing climate change too high? And, kind of depends on where you stand. Global losses from runaway climate change are estimated at 20% of world GDP by 2100. 4.6 million people die annually from air pollution caused by burning fossil fuels, and the health benefits of switching to clean energy is estimated to be 5% of global GDP. In 2019, more than 3,500 economists advocated for a carbon tax to fight climate change. Economics of positive externalities. So sometimes markets include benefits that bystanders receive. That external benefits, that benefit received by people other than the consumers of the or producers of trading in the market. Do motorcycle riders provide an external benefit to those waiting for an organ transplant? That's kind of dark, but hey, maybe so. Don't know like how much you would want from the head, but kind of there. Positive externalities are the mirror images of negative externalities. Left on its own, the market produces too little of the good that generates external benefits, but society as a whole is better off when policies adopted that increase the supply of such goods. Your big two are education and vaccines, but we also mentioned the bees. That's another one that happens a good bit. Too little farmland. So without government intervention, the quantity of preserved farmland would be zero. Uh, but we provide a Pigouvian subsidy that puts it at 10,000. And so for $10,000, we're going to get a socially optimal quantity. And there we go. At the socially optimal point, the marginal social cost equals the marginal social benefit, and the acres of farmland are preserved. Like QPT, acres of farmland are preserved. The market alone would preserve zero, which is Q market, because farmers bear the entire cost of preservation, but none of the benefits. They'll preserve an inefficiently low quantity of acres. Um, so, how do we preserve the socially optimal? We use a Pigouvian subsidy and the payment designed to encourage activities to generate positive externalities. Anchorman is a good and actually pretty funny econ movie about externalities. So a Pigouvian subsidy is payment designed to encourage activities to yield external benefits, exactly the amount we need, no more, no less. The socially optimal quantity can be achieved by a Pigouvian subsidy equal to the marginal social benefit at the optimal quantity. Positive externalities in today's economy. The single most important source of positive externalities is the creation and spreading of knowledge, known as a technology spillover. So, technology spillovers, positive externality results from knowledge spread among individuals and firms. One of the best known research clusters is the Research Triangle in North Carolina, anchored by several universities, hospitals, companies like IBM, Pfizer, and Qualcomm. And that's in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area. You have NC State, Duke, UNC right there. Pretty cool area. Good subject to a good is subject to a network externality when the value of the good is to an individual is greater when a large number of other people also use the good. Some examples are communication systems like telephones, telegraphs, fax machines, railway systems, and hub and spoke air travel. So social media is also like that. If you think about it, like what good is Insta if you don't have other people on there? Hub and spoke air travel, like you go to a hub and get on get on your connecting flight. Um, you do that because that's where everybody else is going to fly to that hub, and bam, you all get on that big connecting flight to wherever you're going. That's the way that all works. I'm not so sure about the way the railway thing works now. A good subject to positive feedback, also known as a bandwagon effect. When success breeds greater success and failure breeds more failure. So Windows is popular. Because it's popular, more software is made for it, and the more popular it becomes. So because it's popular, it becomes more popular. So one of those kind of things. And that is going to be it because that's the end of those. Y'all have a great day. We will see you This is 10. We'll see you in chapter 13.